It's 7 p.m. Thursday, October 31st, here in Seoul.
Coming up on NEWSCENTER tonight. North Korea fires at least 2 unidentified projectiles toward the East Sea amid stalled nuclear talks and soured inter-Korean relations. We have the latest details.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un sends a letter of condolence to South Korean President Moon Jae-in over the death of his mother. The letter was delivered through the border village of Panmunjom Wednesday afternoon.
The South Korean government unveils an ambitious plan to expand the nation's transport infrastructure. It aims to make the transportation faster and cheaper in key metropolitan areas over the next decade.
And Samsung Electronics sees its third quarter operating profits rise on quarter thanks to healthy mobile and display sectors. But the firm's net profit falls sharply on year amid weak memory chip prices. NEWSCENTER begins now. Good evening and welcome to Arirang News Center. Coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Noadam.
And I'm Han-daeun. Thanks for joining us. North Korea carried out another projectile test just this afternoon in less than a month since the last one. According to the South Korean military, the North fired 2 projectiles from its Pyeongan-namdo province into the East Sea.
It is yet unclear what type of projectiles they are. For more details, let's connect to our Oh Jung-hee, who's joining us on the line from Seoul's Defense Ministry. Chung-hee, what can you tell us?
Hey guys, as you've said, this afternoon, North Korea fired 2 yet unidentified projectiles from its western Pyeongan-namdo province into the East Sea. This is the North's 12th projectile test this year. The launch comes 29 days after the regime fired a Pukguksong-3 submarine-launched ballistic missile earlier this month. The South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff says it's monitoring the movements north of the border and maintaining its readiness posture in case the North fires additional projectiles. It's also analyzing today's projectiles with the U.S. The projectiles are believed to be from a large-scale multiple rocket launcher or a new type of tactical surface-to-surface missile, not SLBMs, as the projectiles were not fired from sea but land. Seoul's presidential office convened a National Security Council meeting to discuss the matter. Meanwhile, Japan's defense ministry also confirmed the North's projectile launch. According to Kyoto News Agency, Tokyo said the projectiles seemed to be ballistic missiles and they did not land in Japan's exclusive economic zone. That's all I have for now. Back to you.
Chung-hee, thank you. Keep us posted throughout this evening. Meanwhile, it turns out that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un did extend a message of condolence to President Moon Jae-in over the death of his mother, despite the current frosty inter-Korean relations. According to the top office, it was delivered the day after she died. Our Park Hee-jun has more.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has sent his deep condolences over the death of President Moon Jae-in's mother, Kang Han-ok, according to the presidential office on Thursday.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un delivered a message of condolence on Wednesday to President Moon. He expressed his deep condolences over the death of the president's mother, Kang Han-ok. The message was sent through Panmunjom yesterday afternoon, and it was directly delivered to the president at Namcheon Cathedral in Busan late last night.
The Blue House did not specify which North Korean official brought the message, but according to a senior Blue House official, it was not Kim Jong-un's sister Kim Yo-jong who went to the inter-Korean Jews village in June to commemorate the death of the late First Lady Lee Hee-ho, wife of former President Kim Dae-jung. The official also said no other discussions took place on other issues during the exchange. This is the first contact between Moon and Kim in 4 months since their face-to-face with U.S. President Trump at Panmunjom in June. Inter-Korean relations have been uneasy, with Pyongyang constantly criticizing Seoul over its joint military exercises with Washington and blaming the South Korean government for the lack of progress in the joint projects promised last year. The question is whether this could signal the possibility of renewed dialogue between the two Koreas, coming at a time when the South is pushing to hold working-level talks to discuss the removal of old facilities at Geumgang Mountain. The Blue House, however, remains cautious in its interpretation. President Moon's mother passed away at a hospital in Busan on Tuesday. She died at age 92. After a 3-day funeral, a Catholic mass was held Thursday, attended by a number of top government officials and politicians. Pope Francis also sent his condolences, sending his blessings to Moon's family and all those at the mass. Kang has been laid to rest at a burial site in Yangsan, Gyeongsangnam-do province, where the president's father is also buried. President Moon expressed gratitude to everyone who sent their support and condolences. Cutting his leave short due to various pending issues at the Blue House, he will return to his duties on Friday. Park Hee-jun, Arirang News.
The South Korean government is looking for a breakthrough in its impasse with the North over the Mount Geumgang tours. Earlier today, Seoul's Unification Minister Kim Yeon-chol met with the CEOs of Hyundai ASEAN, which operates the tours, and the Korea Tourism Organization. The CEOs expressed concern over the current situation in which the North has told the South to come and tear down its facilities at the resort. They had been preparing to resume the tours. Seoul has proposed holding working-level talks on the matter, but Pyongyang has declined, only repeating its call on the South to get the work done through written exchanges. Organizers of the APEC summit say they support Chile's decision to cancel the meeting as safety comes first. Eyes are now on whether the event can be rearranged or whether this will be the first APEC gathering to be canceled. Kim Min-ji has the latest.
For the first time in APEC's 31-year history, a scheduled summit has been called off. Chile's announcement to cancel next month's APEC summit caught many off guard, given that it's such a large-scale event and the fact that heads of states were to attend. The cancellation also puts on hold a series of anticipated sideline meetings between world leaders. In a tweet, the APEC Secretariat said the forum supported Chile's decision, as the safety and welfare of Chile and APEC members are the top priorities. Without any mention of alternatives for this year, the tweet said Malaysia will host in 2020. In the past, although not on the same scale, an ASEAN meeting was postponed by a month in December 2006 in the Philippines due to a natural disaster, although some suggested that the cancellation was triggered by terror threats and anti-government protests at that time. Eyes are on whether the APEC summit will be held at a later date this year, and if so, when and where. It's speculated that organizers could skip a year as it would not be easy to make the necessary arrangements, given that the gathering involves heads of state. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
South Korea's presidential office, meanwhile, says it's watching the APEC situation closely. That's according to a text message sent to reporters by the Blue House spokesperson, Ko Min-jung. The top office had previously said President Moon would be going to Chile in the middle of next month. On the way, he was due to make an official visit to Mexico. South Korea is planning to hold another round of bilateral talks with Japan next month regarding Tokyo's export curbs on Seoul. According to the Trade Ministry, if that meeting doesn't yield a solution to the dispute, Seoul will request the formation of a dispute settlement panel for the first hearing at the World Trade Organization. The plan for talks with Japan was reportedly discussed in a meeting today of related government ministers, presided over by Finance Minister Hong Nam-gi. The government has unveiled a blueprint of its ambitious plans to reduce traffic and slash transportation fees in metropolitan areas over the next decade. Our Kim Mo-gyun has the details.
South Korea's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport unveiled its so-called 333 Metropolitan Transportation Vision, which seeks to expand transport infrastructure in 5 major metropolitan cities: Seoul, Daejeon, Gwangju, Daegu, and the Busan-Ulsan region. Under the measures, the government plans to reduce travel times between major regional hubs to 30 minutes, cut travel costs by 30%, and shorten the transfer time from buses to other means of transportation by 30%. The land minister says the country's railway system will see the greatest changes. She vowed to add a new high-speed train service along the Great Train Express line to accommodate the growing population in the Seoul metropolitan area.
We will double the railroad network in metropolitan areas to up to 2,800 kilometers and provide more express trains so that they can benefit 77% of the population in the capital area and reduce travel times.
To improve subway services in Seoul, more express trains will be added to Subway Line 4 and its operation will be doubled by 2030. The government also seeks to expand the operations of Metropolitan buses that run between Seoul and its satellite cities, so that they also run from the outskirts to the center of other major urban areas around Korea. It also looks to introduce a seat reservation system by 2022. It will also introduce a double-decker bus transit express that will take passengers from areas of Gyeonggi-do province to major transit stops in Seoul, reducing the traveling time by 30% compared to the current M buses.
And to reduce transportation fees, a special Metropolitan transportation card will be introduced next year, which should cut the cost of public transport by up to 30%.
The ministry will also adopt new means of transport such as trams, as well as seek ways to establish underground roads to reduce traffic. With the latest blueprint, the government hopes to reduce the congestion rate on metropolitan buses and railways by at least 15% by 2030. Kim Mo-kyun, Arirang News.
Minor opposition Justice Party chief Shim Sang-jung called for a political reform that puts an end to the two-party-centered politics in Korea. During her policy speech at the National Assembly earlier today, Shim said that though there are several political parties in Korea, for the past 30 years, two large parties have dominated parliamentary affairs with their ongoing clashes, and now is time to put a stop to that. She said that in order to do so, Parliament should push through with an electoral reform that could systemize governance through a multi-party system. She also stressed that Parliament should work to gain back the trust of the public by suggesting a cut in lawmakers' expenditures and the reduction of staff. On the Moon Jae-in administration, Shim expressed disappointment over the results of the government's reform plans, calling for the administration to keep its initial promises to create a fair country. South Korea's tech giant Samsung Electronics saw its operating profits in its main chip business drop sharply, but its new Galaxy Note 10 smartphone offered a boost. Kim Hye-sung reports.
Samsung Electronics reported third-quarter earnings that beat market estimates thanks to strong demand for its smartphones, which cushioned a fall in profits from the firm's memory chip business. Operating profit recorded $6.7 billion for the July to September period. That's down 56% on year, but up near 18% on quarter. Sales came to $53 billion, down more than 5% on year, but up 10% on quarter. The semiconductor business, by far Samsung's main source of income, reported an operating profit of $2.6 billion, down over 77% on year amid falling global chip prices and an oversupply of chips. But its mobile division saw its operating profits jump 32% on year to $2.5 billion thanks to solid sales of its flagship Galaxy Note 10 and mid-tier A-series phones.
Well, generally, the numbers are looking fairly reasonably good. Q-on-Q numbers, it's up 17%. So clearly, most likely, the earnings have bottomed. If the trend on the DRAM demand picks up in the future, due to the various reasons, then Samsung Electronics' future looks quite interesting and quite good.
The display business saw operating profits up slightly on quarter on increased productivity and efforts to reduce the cost of its OLED panels. In its statement Thursday, Samsung Electronics said it expects fourth-quarter earnings in the mobile business to fall on quarter on higher marketing costs with a slight decline in shipments. For 2020, Samsung expected an increase in sales in 5G products and foldable devices. As for its memory chip business, Samsung expects demand for chips to gradually pick up thanks to stronger demand from data center customers. But at the same time, the company warned that semiconductor sales for 2020 are still affected by global economic uncertainties. Kim Hye-sung, Arirang News.
As widely expected, the U.S. Federal Reserve has cut interest rates for the third time this year. Meanwhile, South Korea's central bank said the move somewhat removes uncertainties for both the Korean and global economies. Yoon Jung-min with the details.
By a vote of 8-2, the U.S. Federal Reserve decided to lower its benchmark funds rate by 25 basis points to between 1.5% and 1.75%. That's the third cut this year. Despite solid job gains and strong household spending, the Fed saw the rate cut as necessary due to the slowing U.S. economy, mostly affected by the ongoing trade dispute with China and weak global growth.
We took this step to help keep the U.S. economy strong in the face of global developments and to provide some insurance against ongoing risks.
Speaking to reporters, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said the central bank would hold rates steady for the foreseeable future, given the Fed's economic outlook of moderate economic growth, a strong labor market, and inflation growing at around 2%. According to the U.S. Commerce Department, the U.S. economy grew 1.9% in the third quarter. On Wednesday, stocks rose following the third rate cut and the expectation that there would be no rate hikes for the time being. The S&P 500 hit an all-time high, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average and NASDAQ went up some 0.3%. South Korea's Kospi and Kosdaq also saw a rally during trading on Thursday. In the meantime, the Bank of Korea said the U.S. rate cut generally met market expectations. BOK Senior Deputy Governor Yoon Myeon-sik said the Fed's rate cut helps remove some market uncertainty and will help support global growth, having a positive effect on the local economy as well. He added that the rate cut helps somewhat remove concerns over a possible capital outflow from the country. When it comes to another rate cut by the Bank of Korea within the year, the deputy governor said the bank will consider external conditions as a whole, not just the Fed's decision. Currently, the Bank of Korea's key interest rate is at an all-time low of 1.25%, lower than that of the U.S. Yoo Jung-min, Arirang News.
Since 1985, South and North Korea have held multiple reunions for families separated by the Korean War. Those meetings, however, did not include thousands of Korean Americans living in the U.S. But now, U.S. lawmakers have passed a bill that could one day give them a chance to see their long-lost relatives. Lee Kyung-eun reports.
The U.S. House Committee on Foreign Affairs passed a bill on Wednesday calling for U.S. efforts to reunite Korean Americans with their separated family members in North Korea. The Divided Families Reunification Act, introduced by Democratic Representative Grace Mang, aims to achieve the goal through a twofold consultation method. It requires the U.S. Secretary of State to consult with the South Korean government on the potential opportunities for reunion, including video links, while pressuring the Special Envoy on North Korean human rights issues to act on the issue. Currently, Koreans living in the U.S. have been unable to meet their family members in the North due to lack of diplomatic relations between Washington and Pyongyang, as well as other political and geographical limitations. Several efforts have been made in the past to improve the situation, but it is the first time that a congressional panel has passed a bill on it. Doing so, the committee has agreed on the urgency of the matter. Many Korean Americans have not seen their family members in the North for more than 60 years, and they're running out of time as they're getting old. Meanwhile, U.S. lawmakers emphasize that the bill is a humanitarian matter, perhaps hinting that it should be considered separate from political and diplomatic issues. The bill still has to go through Congress and be signed by the president. But that is not going to be an easy process, given that the position of Special Envoy on North Korean human rights issue, which will be in charge of the project, is currently vacant, and that ongoing tensions mean the U.S. and North Korea are not likely to make a deal anytime soon. Lee Kyung-eun, Arirang News.
Ahead of next month's 2019 Korea-ASEAN Special Summit, high-level officials of South Korea and ASEAN member states gathered earlier today to promote cooperation in forestry. Our Hong Yu has the details.
Prosperity and peace is what the ministers have gathered to achieve through forest cooperation. Forest ministers from all 10 ASEAN member states and South Korea got together in Seoul on Thursday to share the progress made through cooperative projects.
Many forests in ASEAN countries are getting destroyed by farming, urban development, and wildfires. South Korea is a country that is widely known for its success on reviving devastated forests. We want to share that experience and work together in fighting against deforestation.
Under the slogan Our Forests for Prosperity and Peace, both sides emphasize the need to improve forest management in border areas where it is not always obvious who is responsible. They agreed to come up with effective measures on transnational cooperation in sustainable forests and land management, including wildfire management. Such forest management projects can also result in job creation and ecotourism. Ministers and high-level officials in forestry agreed to promote the various cooperative activities in forestry with the active participation of stakeholders. And some business arrangements were shared during the meeting.
We received two projects. The first one is the integrated pest and disease management in teak forests in Baguio, Myanmar. The second one is the establishment of model forests through the livelihood improvement of the community forestries. So these two projects are very important for us because they are designed to contribute to the SDGs, and also and other international commitments.
South Korea and ASEAN plan to continue their green journey together toward prosperity and peace. Hongyu, Arirang News.
A fire has destroyed the main hall and other structures of Japan's Shisui Castle, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the country's southern prefecture of Okinawa. The fire broke out early Thursday, most likely starting from the castle's main structure and spreading to the north and south halls. According to fire department officials, over 4,000 square meters of the site have been damaged, but no injuries have been reported. The cause of the blaze is not yet known. The Japanese government said it will make every effort to rebuild the Shisui Castle. China's manufacturing sector continued to shrink for a sixth consecutive month in October amid its trade war with the United States. According to China's National Bureau of Statistics, the official Purchasing Managers' Index for manufacturing came to 49.3 in October, down half a point from September. The October figure was the lowest since February. If the PMI falls below 50, it means manufacturing has shrunk on a monthly basis. It's almost time for a shopping spree if you're in Korea, with the country's biggest sale event just around the corner. Our Kim Bo-kyung has this report.
Shoppers in South Korea are in for some of the biggest promotions and discounts of the year.
The 2019 Korea Sale Festa will last for 3 weeks, starting from this Friday, with many large retailers, online shopping malls, and traditional markets taking part.
This will be the sale's largest edition yet, with over 600 companies participating. And unlike previous years, the festival is led by the businesses themselves. At Thursday's opening ceremony, representatives of business, industry, and the government were all hopeful that the sale will help revitalize consumption.
I expect the Korea Sale Festa will bring consumers happiness when go shopping and give companies a chance to re-energize.
I really hope everyone finds some joy in this November's Korean Sale Festa.
For foreign shoppers, retailers are offering some special discounts.
I would like to buy Korean domestic. As you know that Korean domestic is popular and famous in Asia, so we come here to buy, domestic because it have the good price rather than in other countries, especially in Vietnam.
I'd like to buy some jewelry, a big diamond for my wife, and also some electronic products.
Major department stores and duty-free shops are offering discounts of up to 50% on certain cosmetics and fashion items. Details on the promotions and where to get them are available on the festival's website in Korean, English, Japanese, and Chinese. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
Global megastar boy band BTS wrapped up their world tour in Seoul earlier this week. While their fans eagerly wait for them to hit the road again, the House of BTS in Gangnam will continue to offer fans their own up-close experience with the boys and their music. Kan Young-woo has the story.
Welcome to the House of BTS, a pop-up store solely dedicated to the 7-member Korean boy band, who are now one of the most influential artists in the world. The BTS pop-up store located between Seoul's Gangnam Station on subway line number 2 and Shinonyeon Station on line 9 has been attracting tens of thousands of fans from all over the world since its grand opening on October 18th.
They deliver very positive energy and also they give good conception to fans all around the world, and they give good influence to fans around the world.
The four-story complex is divided into two sections. The basement is the main showroom where visitors can check out BTS-related merchandise and mark down what they want to buy in the catalog, which is given to customers as they line up outside the store. After finishing their order, fans can receive what they bought on the first floor. The second and third floors are designed to make fans feel as if they're in one of the band's famous music videos, with scenes recreated from their Idol and DNA videos. There is no entrance fee, but there's a long line of fans wanting to go inside.
We lined up at 6 in the morning exactly, stayed for 5 hours, but you know what? It's worth the wait. We're here now. This place is so amazing.
The House of BTS is open every day from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. except for Wednesdays. But it will open on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, both of which fall on a Wednesday this year. The store will close its doors for good on January 5th, 2020. Kanyong, Arirang News.
North Korea's most famous musical group, the Moranbong Band, will be touring China for the first time in 4 years. According to sources, they'll be playing several Chinese cities in December. The concerts are to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the regime's diplomatic ties with China, and they might be attended by Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Keqiang. The Moranbong Band was named by Kim Jong-un himself. Their visit to China is notable because 4 years ago, they canceled a series of concerts there after China objected to the content of their shows, which referenced nuclear weapons and missiles. The South Korean police have introduced a new vehicle joining its ground fleet and the first of its kind being implemented in the country, a full electric bus powered by hydrogen. The Eco Bus was unveiled at the test driving event in central Seoul on Thursday. Prime Minister Lee Nak-yeon, who suggested to change last year, was among the VIP guests attending the event. Manufactured by the country's top automaker Hyundai Motor, the hydrogen electric bus paves the way for other zero-emission vehicles to be implemented in other government branches. The police will first operate 2 hydrogen units until the entire diesel-operated fleet is replaced by 2028.
South Korea's industrial output was slightly down in September, mainly due to a fall in output in the service sector. According to Statistics Korea, overall industrial output fell 0.4% from the month before. The mining and manufacturing sectors picked up slightly, but production in wholesale and retail decreased. Private consumption was also down 2% on month because of a drop in sales of food and clothing. The agency said the drop is due to temporary factors such as the impact of several typhoons last month. The South Korean government is moving to engage with European countries in joint R&D in materials, parts and equipment technology. The Trade Ministry says Korea is planning to forge a joint R&D program next month with nations such as Austria and Spain to secure technology in next-generation semiconductors and high-tech materials. It added that the joint R&D program would help diversify the global demand and the supply chain. The capital is looking for ways to make better use of fintech for the future finance industry. As part of the 2019 Seoul Finance Week, the city held an opening ceremony Tuesday for the Seoul Fintech Lab in the finance hub of Yeouido. The Seoul Fintech Lab, the largest of its kind in the nation, will be housing 70 fintech startups and providing them with development support for up to 2 years. Also, part of Finance Week, on Wednesday, experts discussed the trends and direction of fintech and international finance at the 9th Seoul International Finance Conference. At the UN General Assembly, South Korea has submitted a resolution to the Main Committee on Disarmament to try and get young people more involved in the issue. According to Seoul's Foreign Ministry, the resolution calls on UN member states to come up with programs and platforms to support this. This is the first time South Korea has submitted a resolution to this particular body, known as the First Committee. The Foreign Ministry noted that the Assembly's other main committees have already taken up issues for young people, but the First Committee has not. So this shows South Korea's determination to take the lead on this front.
Time now to get a check on the weather conditions. But before that, we have a special and a bit sad announcement to make. Our Michelle Park, who had been keeping us up to date on the weather conditions, will be going away for maternity leave.
Yes, we are sad to let Michelle go, but we will come back with a brand new weathercaster tomorrow, so don't forget to tune in. Michelle, thank you as always for keeping us up to date on the weather in and out of Korea. Now, let's get down to today's conditions and more. For the last time, before we get to see you again in the future, what's in store for us today, Michelle?
Well, guys, thank you. It was a pleasure for me as well to be able to keep you guys and our viewers updated. I had so much fun. Now, as for today, we don't have the best conditions to be out trick-or-treating, as smog is expected to add to the air pollution caused by the yellow dust. Now, both the fine dust and ultra-fine dust levels will increase through the night and until Friday, so stay updated with the forecasts and advisories that are expected to be issued across the country. Now, if it wasn't for the dust, the weather would look incredibly nice tomorrow. Now, the skies are expected to be clear without any cloud cover, and there will be mild daytime highs. But keep in mind the huge temperature drops in the mornings and nights as well. Now, tomorrow, Seoul kicks off the day at 9 degrees Celsius, while Busan and Jeju are expected to be slightly warmer at mid-teen readings. And as for our highs, sunny spells will keep the mercury high during the day as well. Now, Seoul tops out to 19 degrees, while Daegu hits up to 22, Busan 23, and Jeju at 21 degrees. Dry autumn conditions will linger throughout the weekend for most parts of the country, except in parts of Gangwon province. And it looks like we will have similar weather patterns in the first week of November. Now, I'll leave you with the weather conditions around the world.
Well, that will do it for today's Arirang News Center. Thank you, as always, for watching.
Keep it tuned to Arirang for news in depth coming up next.